Okay, so we've finished up with the registration. So we've loaded our data, we've calibrated it, we've performed a star analysis, and we've completed the registration of our frames. Now, only thing to remember on registration of number 4, and it's not something we're going to go into in great depth here. Again, this is just for the beginner. However, on your registration mode, you can select mosaic if you are doing a mosaic, and this is the areas where you're going to start entering this information. But again, this is the beginners, and probably the beginners not doing a mosaic. So, done with registration, we're going to go into Normalize. In Normalize, we're going to let it stay as regular. If all the light frames are the same image scale and have identical field of views, we're going to leave it as regular. Again though, if you're going to be doing to a mosaic, this is where you would change over. So leave that set as regular for now. We're going to leave the projection as rectilinear projection. Add scale for the method, and the scale we're going to leave as defaults as BWMV. Check to make sure the neutralized background is ticked. We're not going to worry about any of the information that's down here on the bottom. And at this point, we're going to just normalize the lights. Don't have to worry about these down here. Again, when you get a little bit more advanced and you're wanting to see this information that is stored into your files, you may. However, we're going to go straight to normalize lights. And it's going to start working its magic. So we'll let that run for a minute. Okay, so we're finished with normalizing, which was number 5, and you see more information has been populated here as we've moved forward. We're now going to go into integrate, number 6, and on integration, if you are using multi-channels or filters, you do want to make sure this is ticked for an integrate per channel, or you can integrate all if you're shooting one-shot color. So at this point, we're going to leave it integrate per channel. The lights to stack, basically the lights to stack is it's going to look at its original score, its quality score, and it's going to integrate the ones in decreasing order from the top to the bottom. So if you had some that were a little sketchy or not 100% sure about, maybe there was a little bit of bad guiding involved in a couple of your frames, you can lower this down. So basically what I'm going to be telling it to do is stack 40 out of 46 frames only. Otherwise, you can leave it ticked to the top. If you do see some of your images, and of course you would want to look at your images prior to loading them, because at that point you can choose to remove certain frames that were not good enough, or certain lights that were not good enough. You can take them out. Now, unfortunately, APP does not have a blink feature, which PixInsight does, but my understanding is that that is to be corrected here soon as they continue to go through upgrades. Under weights, go ahead and leave it as set as equal. Your integrate, under your average, you are going to want to choose, if you're under 20 frames, use median. If you have more than 20 frames, then you can go ahead and leave it as average. Now, we do have less than 20 per channel, so I am going to put this to median. Composition, I'm going to leave as is. LNC, local normalization correction, is for field illumination issues. So if you shot your data over several nights, you can select LNC and put it as first degree, and it recommends that you can start with one iteration first. However, if all your data was done on one evening, this is probably not going to help you very much, so you can leave it set as no LNC. But again, if you've been acquiring the data, it's going to basically take care of illumination issues that you may have had in there from one night to the next. It's basically going to normalize it. And again, you can just hover on it and it'll tell you exactly what it means. Multiband blending, oh, there's my dog, should tick enable MBB. It's going to blend your images into each other and reduce your stacking artifacts and your borders in order to make it a little bit more nicer. It's going to definitely come into play when you're doing mosaics. It also suggests you leave it between 5 to 15%, which is fine, and it's automatically defaulted to 5%. So we're going to leave this enabled, or we're going to tick it for enabled, change it to 5%. On your outliner rejections, on your filters, again, you don't really need to worry about this so much. Just starting out, typically your presets are going to be just fine. You can use them as is. However, you can go in order to make changes dependent later on as you learn more about APP. But for now, we're going to leave it as no rejection. The kappa iterations, all this we're going to leave as well. If you have been dithering your images, you can come down here and hit Create Drizzle. If you have not been, don't worry about it for right now. And if you're really unsure of what drizzle even means at this point, leave it unticked. Rest of our information we're going to leave as is. We're not going to worry about that since we didn't select drizzle integration, so let it go. We're going to come down to the bottom, and then finally we're going to click on Integrate. So integration is now finished up, and if we scroll down here to the very bottom, we will see, let's scroll back over to this side, we will see we'll have integration red, integration green, integration blue. If you were running narrowband, you would see your HA, O3, S2 that were loaded down here, and if you had LRGB, you would say LRGB, and if you're shooting one-shot color, you would just see integration for the one-shot color. So let's get into the fun stuff now. Let's go into tools.